Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney. Happy New Year's, Brains 2025. We're starting out the year perfectly with Korie Shokmalli. Shokmalli? Did I say that correct? Shokmalli.
Shokmalli. Yeah.
Shokmalli. She has been a practicing nurse, and I still say she's nursing. Maybe she's not practicing in the operating room or at bedside, but she's still a nurse at heart for over 35 years. And what she does now is amazing. She works with surgical teams and actual patients to go with them in a spiritual way in the operating room. You've got people that are having transplants, open heart surgery, maybe they have small infants, respiratory problems. And anytime you're put to sleep, Brains, you don't know what is going to be on the other side. The anesthesiologist can only do so much. But if you are in the spiritual realm and you are at peace, wherever you land up, you know that you're in a good place because you have went through the path, you're going through the transition. I want to ask her how she got into this. I want to ask her about that fantastic drum in the back and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Korie?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. It's a
Yeah.
good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Tell me about the drum first.
So, many years ago, probably 35 years ago, I started studying shamanism, and I started teaching people how to journey to outside realms from ordinary reality and meet their power animals and go on adventures. The drum came to me, and it left in a end of a relationship, and I was able to have some friends buy it for me and bring it home again.
Oh,
So this is my drum. It is the a mother drum. It's native made, and it's the horse that carries the journeyers to other realms. So
I
it's a good old and
I belong to a women's drum circle here in,
aha.
and what that's what drew me to it. And what was so amazing is I was in a deep meditation, and in that meditation, God told me that He had a gift for me, but He would not give
Mm,
that to me until I changed my frequency. Well,
uh-huh.
automatically, people think that they need to go up. What I needed to do was go down. I needed to go
Uh,
to the core. I needed to go to the center. I went to that
sure.
drum circle, Korie, and let me tell you, the women played the gongs, they did Reiki, we all beat to our own drum. There was little fairies there were goddesses there. It was absolutely amazing. So drumming really does a lot for the core, especially like children that have learning disabilities.
Yes.
That helps them. People that are sick, you can help them heal through drumming. So I wanted to just say that, yes,
Really
Blaze, I started with that because it's important that we get grounded.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about your story and your journey and your truth and how you show up in the world.
Well, um, like you said, I was it became a nurse probably 40 years ago now, and practiced for about 35. And I could tell I was really wanting to pay more attention to healing than I was to actual nursing. So over the years as a nurse, I studied various healing practices, intuitive reading and healing, shamanism, tarot, and something called healing touch. And probably, 15 years into my nursing career, I was working in labor and delivery in the operating room. And I kept wondering, where does the soul go when one is under anesthesia? So
Mm-hmm.
I got permission at the hospital I worked at to go observe in the operating room for 3 days. And gowned and masked and gloved and standing in a corner, I watched the energy in the operating room.
Mm-hmm.
And first surgery I observed was brain surgery.
Mm.
And I watched the soul leave the body
Yes,
and
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
track the soul to a garden and watch this individual. I also noticed in the operating room, the room was full of old energy, past time energy, energy that belonged to other people that had passed through the operating room, and the operating room was physically cleaned, but not energetically cleaned. So
Wow.
while I was there, I cleaned out the operating room, brought it into present time, and at one point, the surgeon brought me over to look at the brain. He had finally moved through the skull and said, "This is the dura mater." We could see it pulsing. And when I went back to stand in the place and keep watching the spirit of the individual, um, he was playing checkers with someone behind a screen.
Mm.
There was a curtain hanging down from the other side. And when it was time for me to leave, my 4 hours was up. The surgery would go on for another 4 hours. And I thought, I'm here, I've done all this stuff. Is it okay for me to leave? And the curtain parted. It was Jesus behind the
Mm.
curtain
Mm-hmm.
playing checkers with this man. He said, "I've got things handled." So
Wow.
I left. But it really piqued my curiosity and really stayed with me over the years. And
Absolutely. I don't see
as I
how it could.
started to work, pardon,
I don't see how it
what
couldn't.
was that?
You know,
Yeah.
that it was that's it's life changing. When my mother passed away, me and my mother were bread and butter. Okay. We were so
Uh-huh.
close. And I laid my chest upon her chest and I felt her very last heartbeats. But when she transitioned, I was playing my singing bowls for her. And
Uh-huh.
Korie, the universe was just, it was like breaking glass. It was just opening up this big channel, this big tunnel for the angels to come and get her. I could see it. I could feel it. I could
Yep.
taste it on my tongue. And
Yes.
when my mother, when she transitioned, I was bent, but I was not broken.
Yes.
It was
That is a
such,
beautiful way to say it.
it was
Yes.
such,
Because you saw the door open.
it was just,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. And so that made me not fear death. Now, I'm not trying to run towards it. Don't get me
We have
confused.
things to do.
Right,
We have
exactly.
things to do.
But what I know for sure in my core is that it is not what people perceive it to be. And what we have to do is we have to prepare in this life for the journey. Because before we came in
Yes.
here, we agreed to a soul contract. We have to
Yes.
fulfill that contract wherever that leads.
Yes.
Explain to my
You're
brain,
singing my song.
yeah, explain
You
to
are
my
singing
brains
my
what
song.
is shamanism. People don't know
Sure.
what shamanism is.
Yeah. So shamanism is originated with indigenous populations. It was their spiritual practice. They had someone called a shaman who was able to access the healing spirits on behalf of the community. And he would journey to the beat of the drum outside of ordinary reality, which is where we live and play. And he would go into non ordinary reality, or she, and petition on behalf of the community for healing. It might be for an individual, but holistically, Indigenous people saw that illness in one person was illness in the community.
Mm.
So he was looking to reestablish harmony and healing. So what I do, what I've learned to do, is do that crossing into other realities to bring healing back to the planet. And it's a pretty exciting thing. When we're born, an animal spirit comes to us. When I was working in labor and delivery, baby would come out, an animal would show up in the room. When I was doing all my nursey things, I would see this animal come in, and I would do a ritual very quietly to connect the power animal with that child. And that animal stays with us until we take our last breath. I'm not sure how they assist us afterwards, but they're with us every
They are.
turn. Some people
Because,
may see them as angels.
well, it was,
Yeah.
everything is so connected because my family was Native American from Andalusia, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they were Creek Indians, and they took on the nationality of being Negroes because they did not want to leave their native land.
Uh,
They didn't want
yes.
to be slaughtered. They'd rather be servants than been slaughtered. And so I
Oh,
was in Yosemite, me and my husband, and we saw these two little kids, cute as they could be. I was wondering why they weren't in school. Well, because her mother was homeschooling them. And one of
uh-huh.
their adventures was to go be with the Native Americans. And we sat there, and the lady taught us how to weave the basket. And she was saying
Mm,
that when a woman is going through her menstrual cycle, she is not considered pure, that she can't weave the basket. And she was telling all of these wonderful stories, but these children were immersing in that. And her gift to
yes.
me was two spirit animals. One was an
Uh-huh.
elephant and one was an owl. And I tell you, when something magnificent happens or a challenge shows up, there's always an owl or an elephant
Mm,
near. So
that's wonderful.
I totally understand. Okay, so
Yeah.
putting the pieces of the puzzles together, you became a shaman and started practicing. You also were a nurse. But how did you get into the space that you are with working with individuals preparing for surgery? And I don't want to misquote this. Do you also, you don't work with the surgical team, but
No,
you clear the energy in the operating room, and you also work with the patient, correct?
right. So when somebody comes to me to have surgery support, which is what I call my practice, um, they will say, well, I'm having open heart surgery. They often come with a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. And the first thing is to give them techniques to help them deal with the anxiety and fear. Um, then the night before surgery, I energetically go in from my location to the operating room, and I clear out the operating room, and I clear out the holding area where they're going to be waiting. I also clean out the recovery room so that their sequence of events is always in new space that is only occupied by them and the team that's working with them. So I bring it into present time. Um, Everybody has some guardians that go into the operating room with them and stand in the corners, keep the room grounded, because we want people working on us, performing surgery, to be in their bodies. So these four guardians stand in the corners and keep the room grounded. And I also can see the ancestors come into the room when people, so the beings who are not in ordinary reality where we have bodies, our ancestors do not. And they are not limited by the body or the personality they were when they were in body. So they are really love beings, and they love the person who's going through the surgery, and they will do anything to help them heal, to continue on the journey that they came in to do. The ancestors are ready to help us at any time. Sometimes I see the power animals. Sometimes I see other spiritual beings who love this individual.
Now, I want to keep it 100 because that's what I do. Everybody's not going to make it through that journey of healing. Some are going
Right.
some are going to cross over.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the crossover is probably not what you think. None of us know until, well, some of us know because I know a lot of people that I've had an out of body experience, but I've never had, yes, okay, I got a witness. So you know that I know that there's something greater than this, greater than this. This is a temporary inconvenience.
I'd love to speak to that,
Yeah,
if I
go
may.
ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had several near-death experiences, and the first one was in the dentist chair when I was 17,
Hmm.
and they gave me some lovely medicine, and I started singing inside myself. The angels met me. I saw the tunnel. I saw the light, and I started going down the tunnel.
Hmm.
And I heard someone shouting, "Where do you think you're going?" And I was back in the dentist's office. I was put upside down and in the chair, and the hygienist, the assistant, dental assistant, was very angry with me. "Where do you think you're going?" I was leaving.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was leaving. So I came back. Um, Later that year, I was hit by lightning. Several years after that, I was in a car accident. I was hit head on. I was in a Volkswagen, a
Hmm.
bug, not one of the new Volkswagens. And as the car spun out of control, I heard a voice saying, "Put your foot on the brake now." And I did. It took everything in me to move my foot to the brake. And I missed hitting a tree by 2 feet. I was alone in the car.
Hmm.
So the veil has been thin for me
Hmm.
between the worlds. Um, During my psychic training, during the time I learned to meditate and do intuitive readings and healings, one of the teachers took me aside and said, "You have to make a decision whether you're going to live here on this planet Earth or you're going to stay connected to the other planet you came from."
Hmm.
And I grieved for a month in this letting go process. I had to make the decision to be here so I could do the work I came here to do. And I was young. I was 29, 30 when I went through that. But it was a real pivotal thing where I made the commitment to be here. And that has been a lot of my journey, is being here and building skills to help other people heal,
It
to
is.
help them
But let me
to
ask you,
remember who they are.
it,
Sure.
it's weighted. It's a heavy responsibility that you have. How do you keep
It's
yourself clear as a clear conduit for channeling this type of energy, for storing and holding space for these individuals?
What a wonderful question. I spend time in nature. I fill myself up with being out of doors. I have a wonderful dog who keeps me laughing and keeps me walking and keeps me out of doors. I live in a pretty big city, and when I first moved here 6 years ago, I had to really look, where is nature? I'm in the city, but there are trees, there are birds, there are squirrels, there are the occasional coyote, there are raccoons and skunks, and there is my garden. So I find ways of connecting with the natural world, and that recenters me. I also meditate. I also do what I call running energy. I become aware of the energy flow in my body, and that centers and grounds me.
Well, I've been doing a lot of studying in quantum physics.
Ah,
Who would have ever thought? Well, I'm always been very, I've always been very spiritually connected, but now I'm looking into the science of it. And we are
yes.
all matter. We are all energy. Our thoughts are energy. I don't care what you think, brains, what you think, how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, and what I've been finding in my morning meditation that I'm dedicated to every day now, every day, is I get power words. Words
Mm.
come to me and I have to utilize them and act upon them. Like today's words was the first word that came in was kindness. And then after
Mm.
that came powerful, and then
Mhm.
thrilling, and then enlightening. But one
Mm.
day I got surrender. And when I got surrender, I got nervous. I was like, me, this aggressive Leo woman, surrender? Never. But it was surrender to what is yet to come. You don't have to control everything. You can be guided. You can let go. You can trust. You can be the passenger and let somebody else be the Uber driver. So there's a lot to that. So when you have gifts such as yours, how do you separate the difference? Because people are looking to you to always drive. But a lot of times you're just the navigation, you're not the driver.
I see myself as a conduit. I see myself as a vessel for source to work through me. And humbleness, humility is a big piece of healing. It is walking in surrender and being that conduit for healing spirits, for healing energy to come through me. I really liked what you said about trust and faith. We are living in a time when we're being asked to step up to the plate. We have to grow in our faith and trust. And I have something that happened to me about 10 years ago. Um, I got an email telling me that my income was cut off. I was not going to be receiving the money that I was receiving every month. It stopped as of that moment. And it was, of course, I got very anxious and scared. And I knew it was a crossroads because I had been talking a lot about having faith and trusting, but now it was really, I was being asked to put it to work. Was I going to trust that I was going to be okay? Was I going to come through this? I had a mortgage, I had dogs and cats to feed, gas to put in the car, feeding myself. And I just decided that I was going to be okay. I didn't know how, but I knew that I would be okay. I took myself into nature, leaned up against a big redwood tree, and I prayed and I drummed and I rattled and I did all my shamanic juju.
Mhm.
And I just said, okay, I'm putting my faith and trust into this process that I'm going to come out okay. And I shared the experience with a friend, and she shared the experience with her husband that night. And he said, we have to help her. And they extended me a loan and said, you have 10 years to pay this off.
Wow.
And they gave me enough. I figured out it would take about 3 months. That was the divine information I was getting. They wrote me a check. I deposited it. 3 months later, I got a notice saying that the situation had been resolved. My funds were resuming. And even the back 3 months that I had missed, they were paying.
Mm, mm, mm.
So
Won't he do it?
my
Won't he do it?
I paid off the loan um, 2 weeks after that. And I was in right relationship with Source and with myself,
Yeah.
and with the planet. So that was a huge teaching for me about trust and faith. And it changed my life because I know whatever I face going forward, I am going to be okay.
Right.
I deal with health issues of my own. And each of those has been a crossroads and an invitation for me to go deeper, come into right relationship with my life. At one point, it meant leaving a toxic relationship, setting boundaries. Um, each time I've dealt with an illness, I see illness as a spiritual path
Mm.
and surgery as a spiritual path because it gives us the opportunity to go deeper into ourselves and find our own strength and our own foundation.
And when you're under
Free.
anesthesia, you are not under your own control.
No,
You're
no.
not under your own control. And it's not necessarily the anesthesiologist either. You are with the divine at that point.
Yes.
You
And
are
a lot of what I record when I'm on the day of surgery, I go energetically to the operating room again, and then I watch what's happening in the operating room. Who of the ancestors, power animals have gathered there? I follow the person's soul to the garden where they meet relatives and ancestors who have crossed over. I can see the Rainbow Bridge. There's big caution tape over it that nobody can cross. And there is a guardian there. Um, and then I take notes. I dictate what I'm seeing, and then I send a copy of the dictation to the client a couple of days after surgery when they're a little clearer to receive the information. And
wow.
then, depending on what package they buy, I do follow up care, clearing the body of the anesthesia, passing on messages from ancestors and the beings who love them.
Well,
So it can be 4 or 5 sessions, but
that,
I'm meeting them with the love messages that the ancestors and relatives are bringing to them.
absolutely.
Because that's what's on the other side is love. We live in that other side is the soup of love.
But you know what? Love is so um it's not I'm not going to say it's not consistent, but sometimes it is not consistent. And
Sometimes it's not when we're on this plane.
it's
Yes.
not the same for every person. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everybody
Exactly.
receives or needs or shows or gives love in a different type of way. And
This
so
is so true.
what I hope people are is in synchronicity with self first, to know how it is
Yeah.
to be loved,
Yeah.
what makes you feel love. I had
Yes.
my stepson tell me one time he didn't know what love was, and that broke my heart
Mm,
because everything
sure.
I did was to
Sure.
try to show. But what do you need? Do you need cuddling? Do you need money? Do you need your diaper changed? Do you need something to eat?
Yes.
What
Right.
is it? Do you just need a kind word? Someone to stroke your hair? Someone to be there for you? Love is very subjective to each individual person. And
So
so I
true.
am glad that you have taken this on. So we've done the heavy
Thank you.
lifting. Let's have some fun questions because I love to ask some fun questions. Okay.
Sure. Yes.
Um, who's your favorite all-time drummer?
Oh, oh. So that would be my teacher, Michael Harner. He was my Michael Harner. He brought shamanism to the Western world, and I was able to study with him for about on and off for about 12 years. And, you know, it's different from drumming circles where everybody's drumming together. It
Right.
is more for the ability to cross to the other dimensions and to work with the healing spirit. So I would say that Michael is my mentor there.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh, uh, I have had a love affair with dogs for uh, as long as I can remember. So there is a wonderful thing about dogs that they love unconditionally, and they really do know how to experience joy. And I think in this part of my life, that is something that I have learned to embody,
Well,
that I experience.
dog is God spelled backwards, and all dogs go to heaven. So
They sure do.
I love a dog. I love a dog.
Yeah.
If you could be an appliance in the kitchen, Korie, what appliance would you be?
Oh, how fun. I'm going to have to say my Instant Pot. It is so versatile. I can put anything into it and cook it in any way. And that's pretty much how I approach clients. When I meet someone, I like to start with an intuitive reading so I get a sense of who they are. And then I can choose from my smorgasbord of um, methods and tools and serve them in the best way with the best tool for them.
That's beautiful.
So some of them may really resonate with shamanic journeying, some may not. But I have so many tools in the toolbox at this point in my life that I can say, okay, you know, you might do better with some body work or intuitive healing. You know, some people resonate with the imagery from Tarot, and that is something that they want every time they come to see me. So it can be really varied. So I'm an instant pot.
All right. If you could have a
Great.
conversation with yourself at 25
Yeah.
years old, what would you say to yourself?
Say that again, please.
If you could have a conversation with yourself at 25, what would you say
Oh,
to yourself?
I love that question. And I actually have something written out to that. If you just give me a minute to find my notes on that. So, this is what I would say to myself at 25. Dearest Korie, hang in there. All the struggle and seeming monotony and burnout eventually bring you a deep understanding of and deep compassion for the human condition. It will eventually shape your worldview and your sense of humanity. You will not miss the opportunity to share your gifts. You are in the process of fulfilling your dream, of becoming the visionary and healer you know yourself to be. Keep learning, invest in gratitude, immerse yourself in nature, know and learn from animals, create community, believe in yourself, you precious being.
Well, that is just thrilling. And thank you for sharing. Because
My
some people
pleasure.
don't do the introspective work, they do the superficial.
Some people don't. Yeah.
And it's
Sometimes
hard
it's
to
very
go,
scary to look in.
it is scary to go in, and it's very revealing. I tell people all the time the subconscious mind, there's 6 or 7 people rattling around that brain you never even met.
It's so
And
true.
what you're going to reveal and what you're going to be accountable for and responsible for once it has been revealed to you. How are you
Yes.
going to handle that? You know, are you going to continuously overthink it? Are you going to utilize it? Are you going to manipulate it? What are you going to do with these gifts? And I'm so glad
Yes,
that you have dedicated your life to help people, because going in under the knife is scary. Some
yes, it
people go
is.
in for basic things and never come out.
This is
But
true.
if their soul is prepared, then it is okay. because the only
That's
thing you
right.
have to worry about now is the people that are left behind. And sometimes that's what I say. Oh my goodness, we've been left behind, Korie. So please tell my brains how to get in contact with you if they want to work
Sure,
with you, if they want to teach with you. Um,
sure.
you're such a gift.
Thank you. So, I can be reached at bearstarholistichealing.com. That's my website. And I also have a blog there, which is also www.bearstarholistichealing.com/blog. And by email, you can reach me at bearstarholistichealing, bearstarholistichealing at gmail.com. I am on Facebook under Korie Shokmalli and Bear Star Holistic Healing, and LinkedIn and Instagram.
Well, we're going to link you to the entire world brains. I'm going to put all of her information at the back part. Go back and listen. Listen again. But don't listen to our words. Listen to our feeling. Listen to our intention. Listen to the drumbeat of your heart. Figure out where you are and where you want to be and how to get in alignment. You know, um, it can be scary, but it can also be exhilarating. It can be one of the things that takes you to the moon and back. Thank you so much, Korie, for being here. Brains, okay, this address here until we get the postcard change and the marketing material change says Blog Talk. But at the end of the month, Blog Talk is disbanding. So we are on Spreaker, which is a part of the Apple family. Ooh, get a bite out of the apple. You're going to find us on YouTube. You are going to find us on LinkedIn. You're going to find us on Instagram and about 20 other different outlets. Share this um, interview with someone that may be afraid or in fear, because fear is only a false expectation appearing real. Love you, Korie.
Hey, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Brains,
That
take care
was
of yourselves, all right? I'm counting on you. Bye bye.